AITA for ghosting my fiancée after she kissed her ex and called me insecure? I am 28, and I literally just walked out of my own engagement party last night. My phone has not stopped ringing since. I need some perspective before I completely lose my mind. I have always been the cautious type when it comes to relationships. My friends even call me Safety Liam because I never jump into anything without being sure it is the right move. I take my time, I watch for red flags, and I analyze. That was always my way, but it all changed when I met Vanessa 2 years ago. We matched on Hinge, and honestly, she was way out of my league compared to anyone who had swiped right on me before. On our first date, I was prepared to get ghosted. But instead, we talked for hours. She is smart and confident, with an infectious laugh that lights up a whole room. I was all in on her from day one. The relationship moved very quickly. We moved in together after 8 months, which was super fast for me. After nearly 2 years together, I proposed to her during a hike to an overlook she loves. She cried, said yes, and some random hikers even took pictures. I thought everything was perfect. That is when things started to get complicated. Vanessa's family has money. They are not at the billionaire level or anything, but they are the country club and annual trips to Europe type. Her father, Richard, owns a financial consulting firm that manages retirement funds for companies all over the state. He is clearly well off and never misses an opportunity to remind me that I am not. I, on the other hand, run my own solar panel installation company. I started it 3 years ago after working for someone else and learning the trade. Now, I have 4 employees and a steady stream of clients. I am genuinely proud of what I have built, but Richard always acts like I am just playing at being a business owner. So, how is the roof climbing business? He asks every time he sees me, as if he cannot remember what I actually do. Vanessa always told me to ignore him, saying that she did not care about social status or any of that. I believed her. So, our engagement party was last month at their country club. It was nothing too extravagant, with about 75 people, an open bar, and a small jazz trio in the corner. Everything was going fine until he showed up. Preston is Vanessa's college ex, the guy she dated for 4 years before me. He is tall with perfect hair, has a job at an investment firm, and drives a car that probably costs more than everything I own combined. I nearly choked on my drink. Why is your ex here? I asked Vanessa when I found her talking to some cousins. She looked at me like I was being ridiculous. His parents are friends with my parents. It would have been weird not to invite him. I asked if she did not think to mention this to me beforehand. Honestly, I didn't think it was a big deal. We broke up years ago. It's nothing. But the way she kept looking at him across the room made it clear it was not nothing. Every time I glanced over, she seemed to be checking where he was. I told myself I was probably being paranoid. I did my best to act normal, talk to her family, thank the guests, and ignore the way Richard introduced me to his golf buddies as Vanessa's fiancée, who does that solar stuff. Very subtle. After about an hour, I noticed I had not seen Vanessa in a while. At first, I figured she was in the restroom or with family members. But after 20 minutes, I started looking for her. I checked the main room and the terrace, and I even asked one of her friends. Nothing. There was a hallway that led to some smaller rooms and the coat check. I had not looked there yet. So, I headed that way, just to find her and take a few pictures together. And that is when my world fell apart. As I turned a corner, I saw her in an alcove near the coat check, standing pressed up against Preston. They were very close, with his hand on her waist, and they were kissing. It was not some sloppy makeout session. It was a real kiss between two people who know what they are doing. They did not see me at first. I just stood there, frozen, feeling like all the blood had drained from my body. I could not move, and I could not speak. My brain was refusing to process what I was seeing. Then Preston saw me and pulled back, adjusting his tie as if nothing had happened. He did not even look embarrassed. He just had this little smug smile that made me want to get into a serious physical altercation. Vanessa turned, and her reaction is what finished me off. She looked annoyed. She was not guilty, and she was not embarrassed. She was just annoyed that I had interrupted them. "Liam," she hissed. "Don't be so dramatic." I finally found my voice and asked what the hell was going on. She rolled her eyes. Yes, she actually rolled her eyes. It was just a goodbye kiss. We have a history together. It's really not that big of a deal. I felt I had to spell it out. "You're kissing your ex. At our engagement party." She was acting like this was normal. "It was barely a kiss," she replied. reapplying her lipstick. We dated for 4 years, Liam. We're still friends. Don't be so insecure. Preston added, with his hands in his pockets. Whoa, man. We were just talking about old times. No need to make it weird. That is when something inside me just switched off. I felt calm. It was strangely calm, like I was watching the scene from outside my own body. I just nodded, turned around, and walked away. Liam, Vanessa called out. Don't you dare make a scene. But I didn't. I did not look at anyone. I just walked straight through the room, grabbed my jacket from the coat check, and headed for my car. By the time I got to the parking lot, my phone was already buzzing. Liam, where are you? Answer me. You're being so immature. My dad is asking where you are. Oh my God, you're embarrassing me so much. I turned my phone off and just drove, with no destination in mind. I just needed to get away. Eventually, I ended up at my buddy Tyler's place. He took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. Dude, what's going on? He asked, letting me in. We sat out on his balcony, and I told him everything. He just listened. He offered no unhelpful advice. What are you going to do? He finally asked. I don't know, but I can't marry her. Not after this. He nodded. You can stay here as long as you need. And that is how I ended up on Tyler's gaming couch, which is definitely not designed for someone my size, trying to figure out what to do next. The next morning, I woke up to an avalanche of notifications. My phone was exploding with missed calls, texts, and voicemails from Vanessa and her father. Watching Vanessa's texts evolve overnight was like watching the 5 stages of grief on fast forward. She cycled between how could I embarrass her like that, her dad was furious, and I was being immature. Then came the denial and bargaining. She claimed the kiss was not what I thought. Preston meant nothing to her. I was overreacting. But Richard's voicemails were something else entirely. He was straight up threatening me. You'd better come back and apologize to my daughter for humiliating her. We have guests who flew in for this party. Your behavior is completely unacceptable. Then came the reasonable but still condescending tone. Liam, I understand you're upset, but this is not how adults handle their problems. Call me back so we can discuss this man-to-man. I did not reply to any of it. I turned my phone off and tried to think about what to do. Tyler had to go to work, so I was alone in his apartment for most of the day. That is when I started to think clearly about everything. I thought not just about what happened at the party, but about our entire relationship. Vanessa and I had been together for 2 years, and during that time, she was always making little jabs about my business. She would say things like, when you get bigger clients, or when you can hire more staff, as if what I had built was never quite good enough. And whenever we were with her wealthy friends, she would introduce me by saying, this is Liam. He owns his own company, never explaining what I actually did, almost as if she were ashamed of it. I realized there were so many red flags I had ignored because I was so in love. I thought about the way she always sided with her dad when he made his dismissive remarks about my work. I remembered the jokes about upgrading my wardrobe. I recalled the times she would mention her ex, Preston, before quickly changing the subject as if she were hiding something. Around 3 in the afternoon, I decided to go back to our apartment and get my things while she was at work. I texted my employee, Dave, to see if he could help me move some stuff. He showed up with his truck in under an hour, proving to be a true friend. We went to the apartment, and I packed everything I could not live without. It was just the essentials that would fit in Dave's truck and my car. It took 2 hours. Before leaving, I placed my grandmother's ring, the one I had proposed with, on the kitchen counter with a note that just said, goodbye kiss. Then I blocked Vanessa's number and her social media accounts. I knew if I talked to her, she would try to downplay it, gaslight me, or convince me to give her another chance. And honestly, I just did not have the energy for it. That night, Vanessa apparently went to Tyler's place looking for me. I was not there. I had gone out for dinner with Dave after the move, but Tyler texted me. Dude, your girl just showed up crying. I told her you weren't here, and I didn't know when you'd be back. She thinks I'm lying. Heads up. When I got back to Tyler's, there was a letter taped to his door with my name on it. Inside was a long letter from Vanessa apologizing, saying the kiss just happened and meant nothing. She claimed that Preston was just talking about old times and got carried away. She said she was devastated that I would throw our future away over one small mistake and begged me to call her. I ripped it up and threw it in the trash. The next morning, I spent hours calling the wedding vendors to cancel everything. I had paid about half of the deposits. Even though her parents were paying, I had insisted on covering my share. The cancellations were easy. Some even offered partial refunds when I explained the situation. I was just finishing the last call when my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost did not answer, thinking it was Vanessa using another phone, but for some reason, I picked up. It was Preston. "Liam, don't hang up," he said immediately. "We need to talk about what happened." I told him there was nothing to talk about. "Look, man, I just want to explain. That kiss wasn't planned. We were talking about college, and it just kind of happened. It didn't mean anything." I asked him, "So you kiss all your exes when you reminisce, or just the engaged ones?" He sighed. "It was a mistake, a spur-of-the-moment thing. Vanessa loves you, man. She's a wreck." "Spare me the act," I said. "Why do you even care?" There was silence on the line. "I just don't want to be the reason a relationship ends." "That's not cool." "You're not the reason," I told him. "Vanessa made a choice when she kissed you, and I made mine when I left. It's over." I hung up and blocked his number, too. In the afternoon, Richard called. Actually, he called several times before I finally answered. "What?" I said, picking up the phone. "We need to discuss the situation with you and my daughter," he said in his businesslike tone. "There's nothing to discuss. It's over. Don't be impulsive. Everyone makes mistakes. Vanessa feels terrible." I fired back. Does she regret what she did, or does she regret that I saw her? There was a pause. Then he said, "Liam, I understand you're upset, but perhaps we can find an arrangement to handle this discreetly." I asked him what that meant. "Well, I know your business is still growing. Perhaps you could use some financial assistance, a loan to expand. In exchange, you and Vanessa could postpone the wedding and work through this rough patch." I could not believe it. "Are you trying to bribe me to stay with your daughter after she was unfaithful?" "I wouldn't put it like that. I'm trying to help resolve things calmly." "No, thanks," I said before hanging up. I could not understand why her father was so intent on saving the engagement. It is not like he ever really liked me, but honestly, I do not care anymore. It is over. And that is where I am now. I am still at Tyler's place, trying to figure out my next move. I have told a few close friends what happened, but I am not going to trash Vanessa all over town. I am just telling the truth when people ask why I moved out so suddenly. The weirdest part is that I am not even angry anymore. I just feel empty, like a switch flipped off when I saw them together. I put everything I had into that relationship, and in the end, it was not enough. She still wanted someone else. What hurts the most is not even the kiss. It is her reaction when I caught them, acting as if I was the problem for being hurt. There was no real guilt and no immediate apology, just annoyance that I was making a scene by discovering her kissing her ex at our engagement party. For now, I am just trying to move forward. I have a lead on an apartment I can move into next week. I am taking it one day at a time, but I would just like to know if I am overreacting. Anyway, I will keep you posted. Update 1. Hey everyone. It has been a week since the engagement party disaster, and a lot has happened. First, I found an apartment and signed a 6-month lease. It is nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. But it is mine, and she does not know where it is. I moved in 3 days ago with the stuff I managed to grab from our old place. I will have to buy furniture eventually, but for now, I have got a mattress on the floor, my TV on a plastic bin, and my laptop. Bachelor life in all its glory, right? I thought a new place would help me clear my head, but Vanessa had other plans. Since she could not reach me by phone because she is still blocked, she decided to show up at my job site on Monday. I run a solar panel installation company, and we were installing a system on a nice suburban house when her blue Audi pulled up. I was on the roof with 2 of my guys when Dave, standing on the ground, called up to me. "Boss, someone's here to see you. Looks like your fiancée." "Ex-fiancée," I corrected him. I climbed down to see what she wanted. Vanessa was standing there in heels and an expensive dress, looking completely out of place among our trucks and tools. The client, who owned the home, had come outside to see what the commotion was, making the whole scene even more awkward. "We need to talk," Vanessa said, not even bothering to lower her voice. "I'm working," I replied, gesturing to the job site around us. "You're ignoring all my calls and texts. You moved out without even talking to me. You're being ridiculous." I looked at her calmly. "I'm acting like someone who caught his partner being intimate with another man. What exactly did you expect?" She glanced at the client, who was watching with obvious interest, then lowered her voice a bit. "It was nothing. A stupid mistake. One little kiss." You're throwing our entire relationship away for that. If it was nothing, why did you do it? I asked in a neutral tone. Preston and I were just talking, and he leaned in. It just happened. It didn't mean anything. It was the same weak excuses. I did not say anything. There was nothing left to say. I turned to go back to work. So that's it, she yelled. 2 years together, and you're just walking away? I turned back. Yeah. Unbelievable, she seethed, her eyes narrowing. You know what? This is probably for the best. I was settling for you. Settling. I repeated, intrigued despite myself. Look at you, she said, gesturing at me. Climbing on roofs for a living, driving that piece of crap truck, living hand to mouth. Do you think this is the life I want? Do you think you're the man I deserve? I just smiled. No, I don't think this is what you deserve at all. She blinked, thrown off by my lack of anger. You deserve exactly what's happening to you, I continued. And I deserve better than you. The client, an older woman, actually let out a little gasp behind me. Vanessa's face turned red. You're going to regret this. No one will ever love you like I did. That's exactly what I'm hoping for, I said with a nod. Then I turned my back and walked over to my crew. All right, guys, these panels aren't going to install themselves. I heard her car door slam, then her engine roar as she sped off. The client came over and patted my arm. Sounds like you dodged a bullet, honey. I got back to work, but my head was spinning. The way Vanessa had talked about my job and my life really stuck with me. I wondered if she had always thought that way, if she had always seen me as beneath her. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. Hey Liam, this is Maya. We don't know each other, but I think we need to talk. I'm Preston's girlfriend. Wait, what? Preston has a girlfriend? The same Preston who was kissing Vanessa at our engagement party? I was shocked, but curious enough to agree to meet her for coffee the next day. Maya turned out to be a super cool girl, a graphic designer with purple hair. She did not beat around the bush. Preston has been having an inappropriate relationship with Vanessa for months, she said, pulling out her phone. I found their messages last week. She showed me screen capture after screen capture of texts between Preston and Vanessa, going back at least 4 months. These were not just friendly chats. They were about meetups, hotels, and detailed discussions I frankly did not need to see. In one message from just 2 weeks before our engagement party, Vanessa had written, Liam's professional contacts are perfect for launching my interior design company. Once that's up and running, we'll see about us. I felt sick to my stomach. It was not just because of the betrayal, but because she was using me for my business contacts. I have spent years building relationships with contractors and property developers as part of my business. Those connections would be very useful for someone starting an interior design company. How did you find this? I asked Maya. Preston left his iPad logged into his messages, she said. I wasn't snooping. I just went to watch a movie, and the messages popped up. She continued explaining. The business dinners and the networking events. They were actually dates with Vanessa. She even had receipts from hotels, restaurants, and a reservation for the night before our party. The kiss you saw wasn't spontaneous, Maya said. They'd been seeing each other regularly. The night before your party, Preston told me he had a late client. He was actually with Vanessa at the Westbrook Hotel. It all clicked into place. The late nights Vanessa worked and the girls' nights out. Her phone was always face down whenever I walked in. I remembered her defensiveness when I asked normal questions. I'm sorry, Maya said. I just thought you should know. Don't be sorry, I replied. Thank you. This just confirms I made the right decision to leave. Maya nodded. I wish I had known sooner. I wasted 3 years on Preston. 3 years? I asked. So he was with you the entire time I was with Vanessa? Looks like it, she replied grimly. We compared stories. We counted at least 15 to 20 times when Vanessa and Preston claimed to be somewhere else, but were actually together. As I was leaving the coffee shop, I got a call from Lauren, Vanessa's friend. We had always gotten along, so I was surprised. I can't believe the things she's saying about you, Lauren said. She's telling everyone you were controlling and jealous, and that she's relieved it's over. Really? I asked, not shocked at all. It's complete nonsense, and I know it, she said. I can't listen to her lies anymore. That's why I'm calling. I suspected something was going on with her and Preston for a while. I should have said something to you. You knew? I asked. Not for sure, she admitted. But I saw them together at a restaurant 2 months ago when Vanessa told me she was visiting her mom. When I asked her about it later, She got defensive and made me promise not to say anything. That was very interesting. Even her friends knew something was up. And that's not all, Lauren continued. She's throwing a freedom party this weekend at that new club downtown. She invited everyone and is calling it her dodged a bullet celebration. Lauren paused for a moment. Preston is going to be there as her date. Good for them, I said, actually laughing. I hope they have fun. I sent you the invitation by email, Lauren added. I thought you should know what she's saying about you. I thanked her, checked my email, and sure enough, there was an invite to Vanessa's freedom celebration, complete with a glowing picture of her and the caption, "Finally free and living my best life." Without thinking, I forwarded the invitation to Richard with no comment attached. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Richard. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. "I figured you'd want to know what your daughter is up to while you're trying to save her engagement," I replied calmly. "Where did you get this invitation?" he asked. "Does it matter? Your daughter is publicly celebrating our breakup with the same guy she crossed a line with, the one she was kissing at the engagement party you hosted." There was a long silence. "This is unacceptable," he finally said, his voice strained. "After everything I've done." Then he hung up. I am obviously not going to Vanessa's party. I have better things to do. But I was intrigued by what Richard meant by "after everything I've done." There was clearly something shady going on with their family. So, I decided to make a little call. My friend Sarah is a reporter for a local business journal. She knows all the financial gossip in town. "Sarah, quick question. Have you heard anything recently about Vance Financial Advisors? Anything unusual?" There was a pause. "Wait, you didn't know? They're under investigation by state regulators." "How did you hear that?" I asked. "I didn't know," I said. "What kind of investigation?" "Compliance issues with client accounts. Nothing public yet, but it's serious. Several big clients are already quietly pulling their money out." "Why are you asking about Richard's firm?" I quickly explained the situation to her, and suddenly it all made sense. Richard's desperate attempts to keep me in the family, the loan offers, and the pseudo-wise speeches. It all added up. A big family wedding creates an image of stability, which is very good for business during an investigation. Nothing says everything is fine quite like dropping a fortune on your daughter's wedding. I hung up with Sarah and immediately texted Richard. "I know about the regulatory investigation." There was no response for an hour. Then my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole, and who do I see? The great Richard Vance himself, standing at my door like some kind of rich guy GPS tracker had led him there. I opened the door, but did not invite him in. "Liam," he said, in his smooth, businessman voice. "I think we got off on the wrong foot. Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, and seriously, I do not know why I did this, I let him in. My apartment is a bachelor starter pack. It has a mattress on the floor, a folding table, and 2 chairs that cost less than his tie. He looked around, trying not to grimace. "Very cozy. I understand you're upset with Vanessa," he began, sitting on my discount store chair as if it might explode. "And you have every right to be. What she did was disappointing." "Disappointing? Yeah. Finding your partner getting overly familiar with her ex is a bit of a letdown." "Yeah." He ignored my sarcasm. "But we all make mistakes, and I know she regrets what happened. This situation is still salvageable." I just stared at him. "Cut the crap, Richard. Why are you really here?" He sighed, as if I were the problem. "Look, our families were about to be joined. I still consider you almost family, and I'd hate to see you struggling with your business when I could help." I used my best talking to a child voice. "My business is doing just fine. It could be doing better," he said, leaning forward. "I have connections, high-end clients looking to install solar. The kind of clients that would really put your company on the map." "In exchange for what? Getting back together with Vanessa? Let me guess, we just pretend I never saw her all over her ex like that. Think of it as a fresh start. Couples work things out." I shook my head. "Yeah, that's going to be a hard no from me, Chief." His face changed immediately. The real Richard emerged. The polite mask dropped. "I was trying to be reasonable, Liam," he said curtly. "But since you brought up the investigation into my firm, you should know that kind of information could be damaging if it gets out prematurely." "Is that a threat?" "Because it sounds a lot like a threat dressed up in a Brooks Brothers suit." He smiled coldly. "It's a reminder that we all have vulnerabilities. Your solar panel supplier gets their financing through a subsidiary of my firm. One word from me, and your credit terms could get complicated. My stomach dropped faster than my ex's standards. So there is the real Richard Vance, I said. Threatening a guy's livelihood because your daughter can't keep her promises. Real father of the year. I prefer to think of it as protecting my family's interests, he said, standing up. Think about my offer. Help with high-end clients in exchange for your discretion and reconciliation with Vanessa. Or you can choose the alternative. After he left, I sat on my sad mattress, wondering how my life had turned into some low-budget streaming drama. I spent the next few hours calling other suppliers, checking rates, and trying to piece together a plan B. It would be more expensive, but maybe doable. The thought of crawling back to Vanessa just to save my business makes me want to launch myself into the sun. So that is where I am. I am trying to save my company from my ex's daddy issues. I have told a few friends, but I am not dragging Vanessa through the mud. The truth is coming out on its own. The weirdest part is that I am not even mad anymore. I am just relieved I found out about her actions before I put a ring on her finger. But her dad's threats have me stressed. This is my business, and I built it from nothing. My employees depend on me. In a way, walking in on that kiss was the best thing that could have happened to me. But it also unlocked a whole new level of problems I never saw coming. Life is funny sometimes. Final update. Hey again. It has been 2 weeks since all this went down. The big event over the weekend was Vanessa's freedom party, her grand celebration of our breakup. I obviously did not go, but I heard about it from multiple sources. And let me tell you, it did not exactly go as she had planned. According to Lauren, Vanessa showed up with Preston as her date. She was telling everyone how I had been controlling and jealous, and how she had finally escaped our toxic relationship. About an hour into the party, guess who shows up? Richard. He walked straight up to Vanessa and Preston on the dance floor and started yelling at them in front of everyone. He called Preston a useless parasite and called Vanessa an ungrateful child. Then he told her that her credit cards were canceled, her allowance was cut off, and she had 2 weeks to get out of her apartment. Vanessa had a complete meltdown, screaming that he could not control her anymore. Preston, meanwhile, just stood there, looking incredibly awkward. The bouncers eventually had to ask all 3 of them to leave. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Vanessa using a friend's phone. It was a long paragraph about how she regretted everything, how Preston had manipulated her, and how she had made the biggest mistake of her life. She was asking if we could talk. I did not reply. Later that day, Maya, Preston's girlfriend, called me. "Did you hear what happened at the party?" she asked. "I got the gist of it from Lauren," I told her. "Well, there is more," she said. "Preston just tried to get back with me. He was saying Vanessa is crazy, that he made a mistake, that they were just together for fun and she got too attached. He is claiming he never promised her anything serious." I asked what she told him. "I told him to get lost, but I thought you should know. They're already turning on each other." Honestly, I was satisfied. Karma had done its job, but I was still worried about my business and Richard's threats. On Monday morning, my main solar panel supplier called. I braced for the worst, sure that Richard had torpedoed my credit terms. But instead, they asked if everything was okay with my account, sounding surprised when I asked if a problem had been reported. They actually wanted to increase my credit line, given my excellent payment history and the larger projects I was taking on. I was completely bewildered. Had Richard given up? I got my answer later that day when I ran into a guy I know from another financial firm. He mentioned offhandedly that Vance Financial was dealing with major compliance issues and Richard was scrambling to keep clients from leaving. Apparently, he had much bigger problems to worry about than sabotaging my supplier accounts. That evening, I got another text from Vanessa, this time from her own number. "Liam, please call me. My dad has completely cut me off. I need to talk to you." I blocked her number. Again. It is not my circus, and they are not my monkeys. The strangest part of all this is that I am doing better than I have in months. It is like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I did not realize how much I was exhausting myself trying to be good enough for Vanessa and her family until I did not have to anymore. So that is where I stand now. My business is growing. I have a great dog, a nice apartment, and maybe something starting with Maya. It is nothing like what I pictured a month ago, but I am happier than I have been in a very long time. Sometimes, life's worst disappointments open the door to unexpected opportunities. If Vanessa had not crossed a line, I would be planning a wedding to someone who did not really love me, just what I could offer her. Instead, I am free to build a life that is truly my own. Comment. What strikes me most about this journey is the quiet power of self-respect. You don't always need a loud confrontation to be heard. Sometimes, the most powerful response is to simply walk away with your dignity intact. Setting boundaries isn't about punishing others, but about honoring and protecting your own peace. It is about clearly deciding what you will and will not accept in your life. The healing process truly begins when we prioritize our well-being over a situation that belittles us. Even in the toughest moments, there is immense strength in choosing kindness over bitterness. Remember that your happiness should never depend on fitting into someone else's world. Building a life that feels authentic to you is the real prize. I hope this serves as a reminder of your own worth and the peace you deserve. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.